Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be making a cover for this fan assembly. I've had a couple of people send me messages on whether or not I was going to make one. So that's what we're going to do today. So this was the fan holder the way that it was. So this was the way I designed it. It just holds the fans. I mean, it's super minimalist, very plain Jane. But if somebody wants to add a decorative cover to it, what I did is I designed one up in OnShape. So here it is. And I used the fuzzy setting in Cura to give it a texture, because whenever it prints along these fine edges and stuff, it does like a lot of waves and stuff anyway. So I figured, hey, you know what? I'm just gonna make the whole thing look like the fuzzy texture, and it looks real nice. So let me show you how it fits, and it clips on. So it's got a clip on the back that grabs the back fan. It holds on using the two open bolt holes here, and then fastens in the back using the original screw. So I'm going to go ahead and just fasten that up, and then I'll show you guys how it looks like all completed. But anyway, there you go. So it's all covered up now. So if you guys prefer having it a little bit more covered looking, I mean, it's still an ugly spud, but it looks better than just being open like that. So then from the back, you just put the original screw back in there. And you can tap the plastic using the screw that came out of that hole. And then just put your cover on and then screw it back on. So let me screw it down real quick, and then I'll show you guys. Okay, so there it is, all fastened. Show you from the back. There you go. That's basically it. Anyway, it works really well. All right, so I'll jump on to OnShape next and show you how I came up with the method of designing it. So we're going to start by creating a document. Give it a quick name. Once it's loaded up, we're going to change the workspace units to millimeters. And I got this thing going real fast just so we can knock this out real quick. Let's make a square, give it a size 43. And this is based off the measurements of the fan. Now we're going to create a second plane. And then this is the outside size of the side fans, along with the height of the first set of fans. We're going to create a quick loft here. So this is the front circle. That's going to be the cutout for the fan. We're just going to flip over here to the back. Use the shell command. 1 millimeter should be good. And the next thing we need to do is mark out the areas where the fasteners are going to go, and then the two pins that are going to align the whole thing. So you can get this just from measuring the distance between the bolt holes on the fan. And in this 40 millimeter fan, it's 23 millimeters from the center out. So these lines just give me a point to where I can put the screw holes and then the fastening tabs. So this fan has countersunk areas where the screws go. So the outer diameter is 5, inner diameter is 3. And we're going to just extrude this. 3 millimeters is measurement I got. Now we're going to extrude the center pin out, make those 6. And then at this point I printed this part and test fitted it after I extruded out the hole for the fan, just to check to make sure that it's going to fit. Now we're just going to extrude this edge. Now this is the part that covers the side fans all the way up to the end plate. We're going to knock out the bottom. That'll give us a space for the all metal hot end. Now we're going to create two more planes, one on the right and one on the left. This will allow us to draw on each side of this cover. And I messed up the measurement here of the cover, so I'm just going to go back here and fix it real quick. I meant to put 61 millimeters in width instead of 51. I'm just going to go back, edit that one thing, and now we should be good to go. All right. Now I'm going to mark out the openings for the cable as well as the Bowden tube. And this is just based off of the measurements that I got from the side of the fan to where the Bowden tube is. So the Bowden tube is essentially in the middle, but the opening for the cables is determined by the measurement that you get. So I just measured it, mounted on the machine to get this measurement here. And it was 10.5 millimeters away from the back. And then I just made a 10 millimeter circle at that center point there. So this other size, this other line here is going to give us the middle point. That's where the Bowden tube is going to go. And this thing is spaced out about 10 millimeters. So next thing is we're going to just draw the circles, 6 millimeter for the Bowden tube, and then 10 for the cables. Now once I come up with these two sizes, next thing we're going to do is just draw a couple of lines going back to the back of the cover. Connect the two together. And then do the same for the cable side. Now that we got this measurement, we're going to extrude this. And then you got different settings for extrude. We're going to pick the remove part. So we're going to just take this out. Now all we got to do is we got to draw the fastening area. So this is the little tab on the back. And then also we're going to frame out this little notched out area as well. And we're going to space this 3 millimeters from these edges. And this is more of an aesthetic thing than anything else. It's just to make it match the vision that I have in my head. Alright, so now we're going to extrude this about 3 millimeters. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to draw the fastener. So this is the tab on the back. And again, we're just going to take measurements. So what I did to get this measurement is I measured from the Bowden tube over to where the hole is on the bracket, on the mount of the under 3 V2. So that gives me the center position to put this square. And we're going to just pick 12 millimeters as a width. And then the overall length is 7, and then we're going to give it a height of 4 millimeters. So extrude 4 millimeters. Alright, so now on the side, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some square openings. So these are big square openings. In the end, what I'm going to wind up doing is making a couple of openings, round openings. But since the fans don't have the openings directly in the middle, I'm going to have to mount this to the assembly and then take measurements while it's mounted so that I get the position of these openings for these fans just right. Because if they're off a little bit, they're going to look a little wonky. So what I did here is I just made a square. So I had to print this part twice, once with the square opening to get the measurements, the final measurements, and then one with the finalized dimensions and the round openings. So for this, it's just a square, give it about 3 millimeter distance from each edge. Extrude it all the way through, and I'm going to extrude this through all the way to the other side, so it punches out the other side as well. And then to avoid supports, I like using fillets or chamfers. If you chamfer the edge and you use this fillet to give yourself an arc instead of a 90-degree like that, you'll have a lot less overhangs. And I always try to design my parts in such a way that I can print them. I've seen a lot of these hot-end fan assemblies, man, that just they're too hard to print. And if you can print them, you have to use a ton of supports, and they just look real bad in the end. Now, this part here is I'm just marking out where the opening goes for the screw. And then I'm going to make this, it's a 3 millimeter screw that goes in there. So what I found is if you reduce it by a quarter of a millimeter, so for example in this one it's 2.80 millimeter opening, that allows you to use the screw to thread into the plastic. So I'm just, again, since I'm going to be printing this face down, I'm going to give everything a fillet or some type of a chamfer. That will allow me to print this without supports. Now, all these other little touches that I'm doing are just purely decorative. And whenever OnShape gives you these red things, it's something's wrong either with your size or you have some part that you're trying to change that's bound somewhere else. And you just have to look around and make some changes to your settings to get it to all work again. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to draw a little snap clip here, and I needed to create a section view so that I can see inside. So now I'm just going to create a little rectangle here, attach it to the side edge, give these two dimensions some sizes. So we'll make it 8 by 1. Then we'll extrude it 2 millimeters. And then again, just like we did with the top, since we're going to print this a certain way, we got to give this a little chamfer or fillet. And that's pretty much it. Now we're just going to look at it real quick. Now what we're doing here is we're going to draw a little end stop. So this is going to rest right on top of the fan assembly. And it's going to, once I put the screw in, it's going to lock it all down so none of it moves. So whenever you get this red stuff, you just have to go back and remove some of these anchor points because some of them are messing up your ability to resize and move things around a little bit. You see how this got all wonky, so I just go back, add a side piece, and then now I can attach it over here. We're going to extrude it about 3 millimeters. That's good. Again, we're going to give it a fillet so that it can be printed. Now finally I'm going to go to the bottom here and address this little bottom edge. But now notice when I try to modify this bottom edge, I get an error, and that just simply tells me that my fillet is too much. So I'm just going to keep playing around with this size. I think 1.5 millimeters maybe. Nope, maybe 1.25. Oh, 1 got it. I'll do the same to this side. And that looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to give it a name and export it. Export it as an STL file. Now I'm going to open up Cura, load it into Cura, and then I'm going to face this down. And again, since I have all of my fillets on all the surfaces that otherwise would need supports, I'm not going to need any supports. Now I'm going to make this a fuzzy, and then I'm going to use this measurements here. So take a screenshot or pause the video and use these same settings, and this will give you the same effect that I have. Now again, this is just the test piece. The final piece will have the round openings for the fans on the side, or if you prefer the square ones, you could just leave it as is. And then now it's the thing is printing. Alright guys, so all this work, is it going to pay off? So what we're going to do here is a 100 millimeter bridge test. And this is just 4 layers. And you wouldn't be able to get away with this with just one fan. So PETG is a difficult material to get it to bridge properly. And looks like we're able to pull it off with this setup. So here it is completed. And we're just gonna take a look at it here real quick, and then we'll just wait for the build plate to cool down and just snap it off. So I was really surprised with how well this turned out. The top surface is perfect. The bottom is almost 100% perfect. Pretty good in my opinion for such a long span. Came out really well. I'm really pleased with it. Alright guys, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Turn on your notification bell. And leave me some comments. I love reading the comments. Until next time guys, God bless.